So in terms of defining KPIs, so are there any particular your favorite KPIs to track those bigger pillars, or do you suggest any method of tracking those and measuring those also?
Well, KPIs at the end of the day, and I'm using the phrase KPI very broadly. I think we need to look at what's the overarching financial goal, which is typically what most companies are shooting for. Then you have the metrics and the KPIs for that particular function. So for marketing, then you will have the KPIs for the big rocks that we just discussed. And then each of the tactical structural pieces will have metrics associated with them. And obviously all of this has leading and lagging components of the metrics and the data as well. Similar to the marketing strategy, and I'm not trying to be evasive, but KPIs in my experience are like snowflakes. There's no one that's the same for every company. It depends on the goal. It depends on what they're trying to accomplish. Depends on their budget. But in general, from my perspective, the financial goals are a giant math problem. You have to, if let's say you need 10 million in revenue or 100 million in revenue, you are going to back into that. So I mentioned a few moments ago, think about it with the end in mind. So if you know you need to get 100 million in revenue or $10 million in revenue, what's the pipeline that you need to get? Most companies shoot between 3.5 to 5x. So if you need 10 million in revenue, you're going to try and shoot for, again, using generic numbers, 50 million in pipeline. Then you need to think through who's contributing to that pipeline. Sales, marketing, customer service, channel. How much of that pipeline is every group? What's their slice of the pie? So then again, this is where the math starts to come into play. So if marketing then has a slice of that 50 million, and let's pretend that theirs is 15 of that 50 or 20 of that 50, then start creating the strategy that supports delivering that 20 million and the various tactics that will get you there. So then you start to back into how many leads do I need? How many accounts do I need to be? What's the transaction? What's the sales cycle? What's the cost? The average deal size? And then you start to come into the math, and then that helps you start to determine what are the tactics that are going to get you there. So for example, and I'm going to be extremist in this commentary with regard to KPIs, if you need to get 100 leads, you're likely not going to put an ad in your local newspaper because you're not going to get 100 leads. So you need to go where you're going to get that. And of course, where is your audience? So that's kind of the overarching component of the KPI question that you just asked. But then, as I said, as you're measuring and tracking these, you have to do that at a tactical level. So what is your SEO delivering from an inbound perspective? What is your paid media delivering? And you're going to be tracking and measuring every single one of those individually through your marketing tech stack. Again, and then as you review it, are you hitting the particular leading and lagging goals that you defined?